Bright QT. Every student matters.
Starting off with our first exercise of this chapter, which is exercise 1.1. So we'll cover all the questions of this exercise and we'll try to do it together. So let's start with our very first question of this chapter, which is first question. Now the question says that following number line shows the temperature in degrees Celsius at different places on a particular day. That means in Lahul Spiti, Srinagar, Shimla, Ooty and Bengaluru, we have 5 different temperatures as in degrees Celsius. So the first question and the first part of that question is we need to observe this number line and we need to write the temperature of the places marked on it. So let's write it down. We have Lahul Spiti, we have Srinagar, we have Shimla, we have Ooty, and last but not the least we have Bengaluru. Now we'll start with Lahul Spiti. So we can see it's somewhere over here. Now we know that it's -5 and this is -10. So what do we call this? This will be -6, -7 and this will be -8. So Lahul Spiti will be -8 degree Celsius. Now let's move on to Srinagar. Now we have this as Srinagar. This is 0, this is -5. So this will be -1 and this will be -2. So Srinagar will be -2 degree Celsius. Now let's try about the Shimla. You can straight away see that Shimla is 5 degrees Celsius. Now let's move on to Ooty. This is 10, this is 15. So of course this will be 14. So 14 degree Celsius. Now last but not least is Bengaluru. This is the dot which Bengaluru shows. So 20, 21, 22. So Bengaluru will be 22 degree Celsius. So this is the first part of the first question. Now let's move on to the other parts. Now it says the second part that what is the temperature difference between the hottest and the coldest places among the above. Now if we'll check, how can we say, okay, first of all underline all that main and important information which is given in the question or which they ask us from the question. So they're asking the temperature difference and what is the difference between the hottest place and the coldest place. So first of all we need to know what do we call a hottest place, where the degree Celsius is more or where the degree Celsius is less. So if I'm talking about hottest, it will say that it's really hot outside, it's really cold outside. So when we say it's really hot outside, then the temperature is on a positive number like 20, 30 degrees Celsius is actually, it's getting hotter and hotter. -2, -3, -5. As soon as we go to -10, -12, these are all numbers, the negative numbers would say we have cold atmosphere outside. So as soon as we'll say the negative numbers will be colder atmosphere and the hottest atmosphere, that will be we've got to the positive number. So if we can see over here, this is on the extreme left, that means which is -8. We've already written that in the first part. This is -8, which is the most, would that be hottest place or would that be coldest place? This will be coldest place because they are getting on the minus degree and the negative numbers. So now the positive, that means this is on the extreme right. So this is the hottest atmosphere or hottest place which we can talk about, which was 22. So 22 degrees Celsius. So what did he actually ask? That the temperature difference between what? Hottest city. So difference is, okay, so difference is hottest place which is 22 degrees Celsius and the coldest place. So we need to find out the difference. So we need to do minus of it. Minus of -8. So we'll be getting 22 plus 8 which is 30 degree Celsius. So now the temperature difference between hottest and coldest place is 30 degree Celsius. Now let's move on to the third part. What is the temperature difference? Again they're talking about temperature difference, but now they have given the different names of the places wherein we need to find the difference of. So Lahul Spiti and Srinagar. So what is Lahul Spiti? So temperature difference is So what is the temperature for Lahaul Spiti? -2. It's -8. So we are looking for the difference. Yes. So the temperature difference for between Lahaul Spiti and Srinagar is 6 degrees Celsius. Now it says that can we say the temperature of Srinagar and Shimla, if it's taken together, it's less than the temperature at Shimla. So what they wanted to say is, if we'll add the temperatures of Srinagar and Shimla, if we'll take both of them together, would that be less than the temperature which we already have in Shimla? Let's try it out. So Srinagar and Shimla. So Srinagar we were having -2, Shimla was 5. So when we add both of them, so we'll get -2 plus 5, which will be 3. We'll subtracting both the numbers, we'll take the integer, we'll take the sign of the greatest number, which is 5, and the sign before that is plus. So we'll be getting +3. So now the temperature of, let me just write it down over here. So temperature of Srinagar and Shimla taken together is taken together is 3 degrees Celsius. Now they've asked that the temperature at Shimla, that temperature which you are getting 3 degrees Celsius, is it less than the temperature greater than Shimla? So what is temperature at Shimla? So temperature at Shimla is 5 degrees Celsius. Now you tell me, is 3 degrees Celsius less than 5 degrees Celsius? The answer is yes. It is less than 5 degrees Celsius. There was another question that it is also less than the temperature at Srinagar. Now what is the temperature at Srinagar? Temperature at Srinagar. Now the temperature at Srinagar is -2 degrees Celsius. Now the temperature at Srinagar, which is -2 degrees Celsius. Now tell me, the temperature of Srinagar and Shimla, which is taken together, which is 3 degrees Celsius, is it less than the temperature in Srinagar, which is -2 degrees Celsius? No. So for this part, the answer will be no. The temperature of Srinagar and Shimla taken together is not less than the temperature at Srinagar. So this is whole first question which we discussed. Let's try and discuss other questions too. Let's try out question 2 now. Now it says that in a quiz, positive marks are given for correct answers and negative marks are given for incorrect answers. Now if Jack scores in 5 successive rounds, that means they've given successive, one after another, successive rounds, the score which he got is 25, -5, -10, 15 and 10. Now they were asking what was his total at the end. Now we need to find the total of this. So what do? Total at the end is, we'll be adding all the integers which we have, all the numbers of the answers and the marks he got. So we'll start with 25 plus -5 plus -10 plus 15 plus 10. So we'll start it out. Plus minus is minus. So we'll get 25 minus 5 again. Plus minus is minus 10 plus 15 plus 10. Let's try to take 2 together. So 25 minus 5 is 20. 20 minus 10 plus 15 plus 10. Now the next step will be 20 minus 10 is 10 plus 15 plus 10. So 10 plus 15 is 25 plus 10 is 35. So the total marks he got at the end is 35. So we can write that Jack's total score is 35. If we have sentences in the form of sentences, number sentences, we'll at the end of this question or the answer, we'll write it in the sentence which they are looking for, which they are asking, right? Let's try out with the next question. Now over here it says that at Srinagar, temperature was -5 degrees Celsius on Monday and then it dropped by 2 degrees Celsius. Now if it dropped on Tuesday, that means we are getting minus sign. So if added or increased, we would have added it. But since they said that it dropped 2 degrees Celsius. Now the first question is, what was the temperature of Srinagar on Tuesday? And first question is, what was the temperature of Srinagar on Tuesday? So temperature of Srinagar on Tuesday will be now we'll subtract, so -5, since it dropped 2 degrees Celsius, we will subtract 2. So now we have 2 minuses together. So what do? We'll add both of them and put the sign of the greater number. So -7 degrees Celsius would be the temperature of Srinagar on Tuesday. Now they asked another question onto it. On Wednesday it rose by 4 degrees Celsius. That means the temperature has been increased. It rose, so it has been increased by 4 degrees Celsius. Now tell us, what is the temperature on this day? That means temperature of Srinagar on Wednesday. So on Tuesday it was -7. It rose by 4 degrees Celsius. So we'll be adding 4 to it. So what do? If we get a negative number and a positive number, we'll subtract. So we'll be getting 3. But we'll put the sign of the greater number, which is 7. So the sign after it is -3 degrees Celsius. So temperature on Tuesday of Srinagar is -7 degrees Celsius. And temperature of Srinagar on Wednesday is -3 degrees Celsius. Let's try and move on to another question now. Okay. Now it says that a plane is flying at the height of 5,000 meters above the sea level. So if this is the sea level, this will be 5,000 meters, which is above the sea level. Now at a particular point, it is exactly above a submarine floating 1200 meter below the sea level. That means from this point or this point, it is actually going 1200 meter below the sea level. So this is the sea level and it is going below for 1200 meter. Now they ask, what is the vertical distance between them? So if they're asking vertical distance, so what we actually do is we'll add 5,000 and 1200 meter together to get the vertical distance between them, because they said that from the point it is above the sea level 5,000 meter and below the sea level it is 1200 meters. So what we actually do, since we are looking for the vertical distance, we'll add both of them. So what do we write? Vertical distance between them is equals to, so we'll be getting 5,000 meter plus 1200 meters. So we can find out the final answer. So once we'll add, we'll get 0, 0, 2 and 6. So we'll be getting 6,200 meter, which is the vertical distance between them. Let's try and move ahead with another question. Now question 5 says that Mohan deposits 2,000 rupees in his bank account and withdraws 1642. That means 1,642 from it the next day. So deposit means they are putting the amount in the bank, and withdrawal means they are taking that amount out from the bank. So deposit, adding, withdrawing, subtracting. So it says that if withdrawal of the amount from the account is represented by a negative number, as it says withdrawal means taking out the amount. So that is the negative number. Then how will you represent the amount deposited? So again, if we are depositing the amount, we are adding on to it. So we will represent the amount. So amount deposited is represented by a positive integer. By a positive integer. Now the next question which this says is, we need to find the balance in Mohan's account after the withdrawal. So what we actually did, we deposited 2,000 and we took out 1,642. So what will be the amount? So Mohan's, so balance in Mohan's account after the withdrawal is, we will be subtracting. So 2,000 take away 1642. So we can do it this way. We are subtracting. Let's try and change the color so that will be visible enough. We cannot subtract 2 from 0. So what do? We'll take 1 from here. Again, that will become 10. But since we've already get 0 from here, so that will be 9. This will also be 9. And we have taken this from here, so that will be 1. So now 10 take away 2 will be 8. 9 take away 4 will be 5. 9 take away 6 will be 3. And 1 take away 1 will be 0. So actually the amount which would be there, or the balance in Mohan's account after the withdrawal, will be 358. So this is the question. Try and underline all the basic information which we needed and the thing which they are asking. So the balance in Mohan's account after the withdrawal is rupees 358. Let's move on to another question now. Okay, now question 6 says that Rita goes 20 km towards east from a point A. So from here I moved 20 km. From B she moves 30 km towards east. So till A. So from here till here it's 20 km. Now from B she moves 30 km towards west. That means she's moving this side now. So 30 km along the same road. Now if the distance towards east, if the distance is represented from here to here, they are represented as a positive integer. How will you represent the distance traveled towards west? Now we are going to the extreme left, so that will be a negative integer. So the distance, the first answer which we need to write it down is the distance traveled towards west is represented by a negative integer. Now what did they ask? The second thing which they asked is that by which integer will we represent her final position from A. So the final position from A will be, so what do? We have moved to the positive side, that means we'll be adding 20 km. Now we move to the left hand side, we'll be representing it as a negative integer. So that will be minus 30. Now if we have plus and minus together, we'll subtract both of them and we'll come up with the greater number, the sign of the greater number, which is minus in this case. So the final position from A is minus 10. That means we can say 10 kilometers towards west, because we are talking about the negative thing, towards west. Since they asked that by which integer will you represent, so we'll represent it by minus 10. Let's move on to another question now. Question 7. Now question 7 says that it's in a magic square, each row, column and diagonal have the same sum. So now check out of these two which is the magic square. Now if we're talking about column, rows, these are the rows. So adding all these, adding these three, we are getting a row. These are the columns. So adding all these, we get a columns, and the diagonals is this. These are the diagonals. So these are the diagonals. So let's try out. Let's try it for the one. So let's say we are talking about first row. So row 1, 5 plus minus 1 plus minus 4. So what do we get? 5 minus 1 minus 4. So 5 minus 1 is 4 and 4 minus 4 is 0. So row 1 is 0. Now row 2, minus 5 plus minus 2 plus 7. So we are getting minus 5 minus 2 plus 7. So minus 5 minus 2 is minus 7. Plus 7 is again 0. So let's move on to row 3 now. We'll be getting 0 plus 3 plus minus 3. So we'll be getting 0 plus 3 is 0. 0 plus 3 is 3. Plus minus is minus. 3 will be 0. So all the rows are same. The numbers, the final answers are same. Let's try out with the columns and then we'll check out the diagonals. If everything is same, then we call that this is the magic square. So column 1 is 5 plus minus 5 plus 0. So 5 minus 5 plus 0 will be 0. Let's move on to column 2 now. Minus 1 plus minus 2 plus 3. So minus 1 minus 2 plus 3. Minus 1 minus 2 is minus 3. Adding 3 to it will become 0. Now let's move on to column 3. We'll be getting minus 4 plus 7 plus minus 3. So that will be minus 4 plus 7 minus 3. So minus 4 plus 7 is minus 3. Oh sorry, minus 4 plus 7 is plus 3. And minus 3 onto it will come up to 0. So we can see that rows and columns are same for 1. Let's try out with the diagonals. If the diagonals are also same, then we can say that this is a magic square. Now let's start off with, let's say this is as first diagonal and we'll take this as second diagonal. So diagonal 1, what do we get? 5 plus minus 2 plus minus 3. So we'll be getting 5 minus 2 minus 3. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 minus 3 will be 0. Now let's try out for diagonal 2. We'll be getting minus 4 plus minus 2 plus 0. So when we solve it, we'll get minus 4 minus 2 plus 0, which will be minus 6. Now all the things are same, but we cannot get diagonal 2 as 0. Since we don't get diagonal 2 as 0, we can say that one is not a magic square. Now let's try the second one. I hope this could be a magic square, but we can just see which is the magic square now. So again, we'll start with row 1. So 1 plus minus 10 plus 0. So 1 minus 10 plus 0, which will be minus 9. Now let's try out with row 2. Minus 4 plus minus 3 plus minus 2. So we'll be getting minus 4 minus 3 minus 2. So minus 4 minus 3 is minus 7. Minus 2 onto it is minus 9. Let's try out with row 3 now. Minus 6 plus 4 minus 7. So minus 6 plus 4 is minus 2 plus minus 7, which will be minus 9. So all the rows are same. Let's try out with the columns now. I will start with column 1. So we'll be getting 1 plus minus 4 plus minus 6, which will be 1 minus 4 minus 6. Now 1 minus 4 is minus 3. Minus 3 minus 6 is minus 9. Let's move on to column 2 now. Minus 10 plus minus 3 plus 4. So that will be minus 10 minus 3 plus 4. Now minus 10 minus 3 is minus 13. Adding 4 to it will become minus 9. Now let's try out with column 3. Now it is 0 plus minus 2 plus minus 7, which will be 0 plus minus 2 is minus 2 minus 7, which will be minus 9. Now let's try out with the diagonals. If I take this as diagonal 1 and this as diagonal 2, so diagonal 1 says 1 plus minus 3 plus minus 7. So 1 minus 3 minus 7. 1 minus 3 is minus 2. Minus 7 is minus 9. Let's come up with the final one, the diagonal 2. How do we get? 0 plus minus 3 plus minus 6. So we'll be getting minus 3 minus 6, which will be minus 9. So we can see that in second square, which we get, every row, column and diagonals, they all are same. So we say that second is a magic square.